Some dates need no stage direction. The third anniversary of Queen Elizabeth II's passing is one of them. No grand speeches, no special gestures, no layered insider leaks about reconciliations and meetings. Just a simple quiet from which the essentials can be heard, the country remembers, the family mourns, and the legend keeps working without advertising. Against that backdrop, a rare kind of loyalty stands out, the kind that doesn't need a microphone. Sarah Ferguson, a woman the press long paired with the word scandal, turned out to be the one who did everything right. No posing, no branding grief, no habit of turning every date into scenery for her own paragraph. She wrote a few warm lines, added not a gram of volume, and showed that memory has hands, the very hands that feed the Queen's corgis every day. That one simple fact says more about her than 100 interviews. Buckingham did exactly what it should, it gave an image. A portrait stripped of excess, carrying the rare poise with which Elizabeth held the world like a glass of water, steady, calm, without a tremor. Nothing forced, nothing over-explained. Even the caption doesn't call attention to the author, it invites you to remember her. Through that quiet visual gesture, the true notes separate from the false. Where remembrance chooses restraint, those who live by loudness look out of place. Where the image is self-sufficient, captions like "Today I especially understand" turn into empty background. Whatever the tabloids prefer to recall, Sarah never used the Queen as a tool for personal rehab. Their bond outlasted divorce, headline avalanches, and all the years when any room could make Ferguson feel like the odd one out. Elizabeth treated her the way only truly strong people can. She separated the person from the noise. She invited her to Balmoral when others pretended not to know where the door was. She kept it ajar not out of duty, but because she could see through public froth and weather. And Sarah remembered. So now, when the moment calls for brevity, she chooses the right length, always loved, always remembered. It isn't a cliché when it rests on daily tenderness. In her case it isn't a metaphor, it's a feeding bowl, a leash, a chill morning wind, and two small silhouettes racing the lawn as if nothing in the world had changed. Muick and Sandy aren't a storyline or post add-on, they're a bridge between past and present that she doesn't display, she repairs it, quietly, every day. That's the hard truth about real closeness. It isn't proved by long interviews, nor defended by loud verses. It's proved by repetition. Who, with a clear conscience, can say today, I carry a piece of Elizabeth with me? The one who carefully looks after what she loved. The corgis are not a royal gimmick, not a cute emblem, not merch to hang for likes. They're living creatures whose patron became a surrogate owner, and Sarah took on that role. When she says, it's an honor and a daily reminder of our time together, it isn't calligraphy, it's a schedule. Anyone who has cared for an elderly person's animals knows the work. There's no room for grandiosity, only attention to small things and patience for the whims of age. You don't check the light for the right shot. You check the bowl and the pause. Something else is clear, how differently voices read on a day like this. When someone goes to the chapel and the whole world knows by morning, that's no longer private, it's a genre. When someone quietly posts a few lines you could miss if you came for drama, that's the honest quiet. For years we were trained to believe that personal truth must be loud, especially if you're called royal. The word personal got devalued right where it should have meant the most. Sarah puts the meaning back. She doesn't insist she's family too, she just remains family through care. She doesn't ask to have her past approved, she behaves as if the yard still echoes with the tiny army of corgi paws and the soft creak of the door the mistress gently pulled to. Her words about kindness carry the same calm. Not a day goes by that I don't remember the kindness shown to me in good times and bad. That's not a therapy snippet, it's an adult piece with a life in which you were judged louder than you were heard. Elizabeth was the quiet anchor when everyone wanted a loud verdict. Not because she ignored mistakes, but because she could see beyond them. That kindness never cancelled standards of conduct, it never hardened into coldness. And now, in her absence, the kindness continues in everyday mode. Which is why Sarah doesn't meet anyone's remember when with a ledger of justifications. Her answer fits into 2 words and 2 tales. That's enough when your truth is not a stand-up but a routine. The contrast is impossible to miss with those who turn every step into another episode of their series. Roll out the usual signals: private visit, deeply personal words, re-evaluation through parenthood, and the air fills again with a noise that dissolves the date itself. It's not criminal, it's just a helpless need to be center frame. That's why it stings. Where the Queen taught retreat into the shade for the sake of others, they again tilt the light toward themselves. Against that constant self-spotlight, Sarah's gesture sharpens. She lifts what can be carried from past to future without harming memory and carries it in silence. There is a slow, non-theatrical farewell dimension here. The Queen was a creature of habit. Her life was rituals, the small military disciplines of a house where power is first of all order: morning notes, the evening red boxes, shooting, drives, Sunday services, short calls, long roads, and always corgis. No one filled her quiet better than those little generals on short legs. They ran the carpets, slept by the doors, and knew first what mood she brought home. When such habits end, a house cools. Sarah warms it with what warmed it before. She restores the routine, not the memory of a routine. That's the difference between making a post and doing the work. No wonder the response to her words sounded different. There were no standard camps, no revving of the eternal engine of remember when she. The comments didn't weigh guilt or debt. People thanked her for showing what they themselves wanted to return to, a simple human warmth stronger than every meme about royal protocol. When the frame isn't a narcissistic me, but a pair of small eyes looking up at you every morning, even the most tired audience drops its shoulders. That's what normal looks like. And that's what we've lost, the capacity to live what matters without overdecorating it. There's a special light to the fact that Sarah, the very person long told to keep her head down, was trusted to continue what the Queen loved more than many human habits. That trust is hard to parse, easy to feel. Elizabeth wouldn't hand her corgis to someone who needed them for excuses. She entrusted them to someone who needed them for life. We've seen too many symbols turned into props. Here, the symbol remains itself. No reporter will dare ask, so, how are the royal dogs recovered yet? They can see, the dogs are home. It doesn't matter what that home is called now. It belongs to the same quiet as before. Even the palace's tone felt deeper. The official channels did what they should, showed an image and stepped away. No dramatic bridges, no signals, no we hope. The picture carried exactly as much memory as needed, and no one tried to Monetize the rest. It's the fortified position Elizabeth held for 7 decades, the great needs no ornament. In that simplicity lies an elegance all but gone from public speech. Anyone trying to shift the spotlight to themselves that day sounded like someone who dropped to a whisper but forgot to switch off the mic. So the conversation about Sarah isn't Fergie versus the field, nor an attempt to redraw the family map. It's a picture of what true gratitude looks like. It doesn't stage press huddles, release teasers, or promise unfiltered sincerity. It does simple things that don't need applause, and does them for a long time. If tomorrow we learn that one corgi is ill, there won't be exclusives about tears. There'll be a vet bill and a quiet thank you to those who helped. If the next day both corgis tear across the grass, there won't be specials about memory's second wind. There'll be shadows on the lawn. That's the best documentary on Elizabeth II's legacy anyone could ever make. For those asking, what does this have to do with the ever-noisy Sussex theme? Everything. On days like this, it's most obvious who can disappear for others. The 3rd anniversary is a maturity exam, for a country learning to live without its anchor, for a family learning to wear the crown without the person who made it feel as natural as air, and for those still arguing with the past where the only right act is silence. Sarah passed with 1 sentence and 1 habit. Others will have to catch up. The more they explain that they too love and understand, the clearer the difference becomes between love for a person and love for a shot. Closing the day, there's no need to rank who moved whom. Let's note the obvious. Elizabeth II left not only a constitution, protocol, and a 1,000-year architecture of power, she left a school of normalcy. It doesn't teach only ministers and princes, it teaches people. Its simplest lesson is that honor isn't a title, it's a daily practice. Sarah Ferguson has inherited that practice. There's no scepter in her hands, but there is a leash. And if we ever lose our bearings in an ocean of loud words about service, we can open her feed and see, Service is when two small tales keep living as though their mistress might walk in any minute. If memory has a proper format, it looks like this: no stagecraft, but responsibility. No ambition, but dignity. No claims to historic significance, but a quiet light that outlasts any headline. And yes, there's room in that quiet for everyone truly loved and missed, but not for everyone who needs to be seen. An anniversary is not a collider for clashing versions. It's a candle carried by those who remember the way. Today, one of those candles is in Sarah's hands. And that is more than enough to know: the Queen is still looked after.